Hello, this is Crystal Racing with the review for this year's 2018 Russian Grand Prix. And yes, I am well aware there is a huge amount of furore and outrage over what Mercedes did today with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, and of course the fact that they were using team orders in a race where Bottas had been leading that race on merit. Of course, it is extremely questionable why they did it when you consider the fact that Lewis Hamilton entered this race 40 points ahead in a car that I think has regained a technical advantage over Ferrari. And if you want my opinion over how bad that Ferrari is right now, I honestly believe Scuderia Ferrari's SF71H chassis is now the third fastest car on the grid. I mean, if you look at the Friday practice times, Red Bull and their B-spec Renault engine was outpacing Ferrari. That's right, folks. Ferrari they are completely out of this, and the only way they could possibly win this championship is if Mercedes start to have loads of double DNS, because with 5 races to go, you've got to realise there's only 125 points remaining for the drivers to score out of course, the 5 remaining races. And Lewis Hamilton is now 50 points ahead. 50! That is the equivalent of exactly 2 race wins ahead. This championship is practically done for Vettel. I mean, you only had to look at his body language and his facial expression to realise this championship is well and truly done. And as for Kimi just walked around not even answering questions properly. Kimi was just literally asleep, quite literally. You could just tell Kimi is hibernating for the next 2 years at Sauber. That's what Kimi is doing. He's hibernating. And quite frankly, I can't blame Kimi, because quite frankly, what's the point of putting the effort in when, your team has constantly messed up your chances of any of your 3 or 4 chances of winning races in the past 2 years? And quite frankly, I mean, with how slow Ferrari are right now with their upgrades failing, I mean, there really is no hope anymore. I mean, I as a Kimi Räikkönen fan, have given up hope on seeing Kimi win another Grand Prix ever again. That's how bad it is. And, despite all the praise that Mattia Binotto has been given for his work and his technical upgrades, it does seem as if he's actually come up a bit of a... It does seem as if he is now struggling himself, which kind of fits in with the malaise that is going on in the whole Ferrari team. The whole team is now just awful. And, I mean, for any Ferrari fans that want to slag off Vettel and Raikkonen, I mean, you're wasting your time, really. They can only do what they can do with the machinery they've got. That car is just crap. And to be honest, as for the race itself, well, I can't really say a lot for it, to be honest, because of course there were a few things that happened, like Pierre Gasly apparently nearly getting hit full on in the helmet when a piece of debris came flying towards him from Ricciardo's car. Thankfully, it hit the top of his visor, meaning that the Xylon strip saved him from any head injuries of any kind, and unfortunately had to retire along with his Toro Rosso teammate Brendan Hartley. So those two will not be getting points for what happened for their performances today. But now I'm going to go through the crystal score. Lewis Hamilton gets 8 points. Yes, he drove well, blah, blah, blah. And I know a lot of Hamilton fans like to go on about how he's driving a Mercedes that is inferior to Ferrari. But let's get real here, folks. That Mercedes is nowhere near as bad as Michael Schumacher's 1994 or 1995 Benetton chassis, okay? Let's not pretend that Mercedes is a piece of garbage anywhere near as bad as Fernando Alonso's 2012 Ferrari. Let's not act like absolute crazy bozos here, okay, folks? Let's just get real, and let's be honest. I kind of can't help but think that Bottas deliberately just took up position behind Hamilton. I didn't really push once the team order came in. I think Bottas, for me, once he allowed Lewis Hamilton pass, Valtteri Bottas was only driving at 70%. Quite frankly, if Valtteri Bottas was allowed to push, I think he might have won by about 5 to 10 seconds, because for me, Bottas has been on top of Hamilton all weekend, and it's an absolute shambles that Valtteri Bottas decided that he is not worthy of the self-respect of allowing himself to win a race for once. So, and yes, I will show a bit of sympathy for Lewis Hamilton. You could tell from his facial expression and his demeanour that he didn't want team orders either, because let's be honest, he knows that, even if he finished second, he would still be 43 points ahead. 43! I'm sorry, with how slow Ferrari car is right now, they're just not going to catch that gap up at all. It's impossible for Vettel to do it. And that's not me saying Vettel is an average driver or anything. It's just, there's just no hope. So, that's 8 points for Lewis Hamilton. And I have to give 6 points for Valtteri Bottas, because for me, he bent over, he agreed to team orders, he threw away the chance of winning a race. And, you can say what you want about Kimi and Kimi getting done over with team orders and the fact that Kimi willingly moved over in Germany, but you got to realise that happened when Vettel was still very much in the championship, unlike now. And of course, for Sebastian Vettel, I've got to give him 8 points. He tried his hardest. The team, for once, actually got a strategic decision correct. After Bottas pitted on lap 12, they got Vettel in on the next lap on lap 13, and they jumped Vettel ahead of Hamilton. First time in 6 months that Ferrari have actually got a decision correct. But Vettel, for some stupid reason, decided to move twice on the straight, and then, of course, Lewis Hamilton just got past him anyway, and, the rest, that's all she wrote, really. So, Vettel ended up finishing third, and behind him was Kimi Raikkonen, who, for me, gets 7 out of 10. Yes, I know he was basically murmuring through all his interviews this weekend. He couldn't be asked, to be honest, but to be quite frankly honest, I don't feel like I can be asked to watch the rest of this season. So that's 7 points for Kimi. But the driver of the day today, it has to be Max Verstappen. What a brilliant performance. 10 out of 10. Yes, I know he was, we had a scorching start, and he overtook people like they weren't even there. Gotta say it. And if it wasn't for the fact that his team told him to back off and save the engine in the last 5 laps or so, I think he could have caught Kimi. I think he could have got Kimi, because that Ferrari is not quick. But I am thankful, because the fact he backed off did save Kimi's blushes in that regard. Ricciardo finished 6th. He gets 8 points from me. He actually picked up quite a bit of damage and debris under his front nose cone, meaning that his progress through the field was a lot slower as a result. But still, I think he did a good job under the circumstances, so 8 points is fair for me. And then, of course, Charles Leclerc gets 10 points as well. And an unbelievable drive. He qualified 7th on Saturday. Brilliant. His best qualifying performance of his career to date. His move on Gasly early on in the race was absolutely fantastic. Well, not Gasly, it was Magnussen. My God, what a move that was. Kevin Magnussen finished 8th. He gets 9 points from me. He very much outperformed his Haas chassis this weekend, and some could argue that he deserves a top seat at this point in his career, but I think he might be. But I think he's going to be content to be at Haas for next season. Ocon and Perez finished 9th and 10th for Racing Point Force India. That's 8 points for Ocon and 7 points for Sergio Perez. And of course, Force India actually did their team orders properly this weekend. Unlike Mercedes, they got it they cooperated. They got they got Perez to slow down around the pit stops, and Ocon was allowed a chance to go and chase Magnussen. It didn't work, but at least it didn't cause anywhere near as much controversy as Mercedes. And then, of course, we get to the people who failed to score points. Grosjean, for me, gets 7 points. He's really getting toasted at this point in his career, I have to say. I really think next season could be the last time we ever see Grosjean race in Formula 1 if he doesn't improve. Hulkenberg, for me, despite gets 8 points, he was let down by just a poor chassis, really, at this point in time. And, you know, he did take a gamble during the pit stops to jump up into the P7, but of course it didn't work, so he ended up P12. But a good effort, no less, from the German. P13 was Marcus Ericsson, 7 points, usual effort, nothing to talk about. P14 was Fernando Alonso, 7 points out of 10. I think... Jesus Christ, goodness me. I mean, I can't wait for Fernando Alonso to retire, and he can't wait to retire himself. Lance Stroll, P15, 7 points out of 10. The car is awful. P16, Stoffel Van Dorn, 6 points out of 10. Goodness me, he's not helping himself at this point. P17, Carlos Sainz. What an awful performance, honestly. I mean, the fact he ended up getting overtaken by Van Dorn halfway through the race kind of tells you what a bad race he had. 5 points for Sainz, 6 points for Stoffel Van Dorn, and then, of course, 6 points for the last finisher, Sergei Sorokin, who, you know, kind of fell to the back very quickly. He wasn't even close to Lance Stroll all this weekend. I think he did out-qualify Lance. I'm not sure, did he? I think he did, but nevertheless, Lance Stroll was the one who got ahead, and Sorokin just fell back. So, if you enjoyed this Russian Grand Prix race review and Crystal score, please like, subscribe to Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time.